Okay, here we have the Snow Queen in the center of four Twilight Lich areas in one of the few towers. This happens to be the second hardest maze there is in Twilight Forest. Now in here, the Lich drops two stacks of snowballs and packed ice, which isn't that great, but can also drop quite a few other tools and weapons, which can also be found in other areas, such as here, as loot. You can see some Arctic fur and ice bombs also. But the weapons that you can actually get can be much stronger than any other thing there is, such as the glass sword, secret bow, tri-bow, ender bow, ice sword. The secret bow, tri-bow, ender bow, and ice bow all have their own special effects. The ice bow happens to be the strongest, which does more of an accurate range and can do a special effect. Ender bow, if I remember correctly, can shoot further. Tri-bow will split the attack and shoot 3 arrows, and the secret bow will be much more accurate than a regular bow, hitting more to where the plus is, and has an extra special effect. As the name implies, it will seek out the nearest mob. Not perfectly, but close enough. If you ever have a target like that, it will actually hit the target even though I'm intentionally missing here. The plus is away and it's still attacking it. Now, onto the swords. If I can get in, that is. Um, okay, so next are the swords. Now, what you should actually keep on you is the ice bow, which is the best one as a bunch, and the glass sword should be the next weapon that you keep. Although it has really weak attack, a whole load of attack, doing 40 attack, it is really, really weak in durability. Now, before we head on to the last sort of progression, we have the maze, the Hedge Maze. Now, this sort of area is not mandatory and only gives you like dungeon loot for actual loot. It spawns in spiders, but it isn't actually that great considering the loot that you get. You can find it whenever you see one of these sort of green patches in the area. They're found around every single area. Now, next off we have the Mounds, which come in 3 different variations. This so happens to be a big mound right here. They're giant weird mountains that don't spawn naturally. And here, you could see different sort of mounds as shapes. Now this comes with 2 extra sets in Twilight Forest and a whole lot of extra just fun tools. Liveroot, Peacock Fan, different charms, ore magnet, and sometimes come with Nagascale, Ironwood, and Steel Leaf. The Steel Leaf and Ironwood set are basically like diamonds, a diamond set. But the most best item that you can get here is the uncrafting table. Using experience, you can actually uncraft and craft using this crafting table. Crafting doesn't require any experience, but it allows you to uncraft any item that you want. And if the item in a different mod can be crafted using a different item, you can use the arrows up and down to be able to craft it in a different way, using a different material. Meaning you can get an item that has a whole load of materials in it, or is really expensive, and uncraft it into its raw materials. Next up we have the questing ram, another thing that isn't required, but it still technically gives you a trophy. Now I blocked off him from getting in, so he can escape out of the area. Now, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to grab every single wool in the game. This is one of every single one, and although a few bits of wool can actually be found in a dropper up here, which is really useful if you can't really find all of them. The questing ram will follow you. If you drop a piece of wool, it will actually stay in that sort of area for around 7 minutes, because that's when items despawn. It will sometimes eat it and sometimes not if you don't do it properly. And if you ever feed him the wool, then he will start growing stripes around him. Now this is used to show you what wool you have and already fed him. You won't be able to feed him double the amount of wool of any same color, and it will already go into a rainbow sort of set, so you don't have to do it in a specific order. And when you feed the last one, you get an achievement, and you get one of quite a few different ores. The questing ram head, and a horn. Let me just put away all this wool. Okay, so you get a block of lapis, gold, emerald, iron, and diamond. The trophy, and a crumble horn. Now this horn is just useful in a regular manner. If you ever use it, hold it down, then you'll start breaking everything around you. Dirt will break, stone will turn into gravel, then andesite, then cobble, and then break. And it's just useful in general just to be able to break a whole lot of area. Now, in the Twilight Forest, in this sort of biome, you can actually find 4 tree cores in this sort of area. Now, you have the ore tree core, which only works with stone, but it uses to find ores much faster, bringing them closer. So, the tree core for transformation slowly but surely gets all these mobs into their Twilight Forest counterparts. The sorting tree core is actually the one that can actually work the quickest. All of them actually give off a light source. Now here you can see a whole lot of wool that's not organized properly. What it will do is bunch it all up together and move it to one chest. If you can see, all the items start to move together, and eventually you'll start seeing some wool pop out from the other side, meaning this chest doesn't have anything. Although it isn't still perfect, having wool just everywhere, but it still sorts everything out decently, which you can just use a little bit of a chest moving to do. Now, over here is basically like Project E's Watch of Flowing Time. Now this works much slower than a Watch of Flowing Time, but it's a cheap alternative, considering the other one requires dark matter. Now, both the transformation and Watch of Flowing Time are pretty slow, but the miner and sorter are actually quite quick if you put them in the correct areas. Now here, the final progression area of the Twilight Forest. Now, underneath here is where you're supposed to go first. You go into a mining area with obsidian chunks. You go to one of the small obsidian cubes, break it, and get magic beans. it can be grown on this weird soil that glows, and is best to put at the edge of the area so that you can climb up, almost like Jack and the Beanstalk. Well, that's what it's based around. When you do so, you place it on the soil, and it grows a giant beanstalk instantly, though it can sometimes glitch out if it doesn't have enough space. So when you head all the way up, you'll find two giants, one of them with armor and a sword, and one of them with a pickaxe. Now, the one with the pickaxe is the one you need to kill, though you can kill both of them really easily. The blocks here, when put in a crafting table, give you loads of what it is, such as cobblestone and wood. The pickaxe can be used to actually break these giant blocks. Although it is stone, it is actually really strong, being able to break the big obsidian case in the miner's area down below. Now, when you break this area, you can go in and get a lamp of cinders, which is in the big obsidian area. Now, the lamp of cinders is what's used to get over this sort of giant thorny area, although in creative you can break it easily. In survival you can't do this basically at all. What you do is you burn it, and then you can break it in survival. Or you can hold it down and turn a whole load of it into, burn a whole load of it quickly. Now, you can just fly over it if you have the mods of it, but this is required for the achievement line of the Twilight Forest. Now, this is the final castle. This area has never been fully finished, and requires a data pack if you actually want to finish it properly. Now, in this area is where the final boss is supposed to be. For now, we have a placeholder, which is a level 1000 kobold. You're gonna find him in the Mounds as a weird sort of elf creature, and it drops a name tag called Final Boss. And that's basically it. This is the tools you're gonna have when you finish, and this is the armor you're gonna have when you finish. This is the best set that you're gonna have when you complete the Twilight Forest. That's basically it. The Twilight Forest, you basically completed the Twilight Forest when you complete this area. Now, this mod is not finished, as I mentioned before, but it's still fun to play. Especially going around trying to get all the bosses and getting the cool items that come with it. And yeah, this is all we have time for today. See you guys in the next video.